Hello, Sprouts. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Crimson Clover, and today we have two stories from the r/relationship subreddit. The first one is by user Affectionate Spare 87, titled, Wife 31 female is terrorized of me, 31 male, does not trust me to be with her alone, acts like I might harm her. What do I do now? Say sorry for whatever you did. TLDR, wife 31 female is terrorized of me, 31 male, does not trust me to meet her alone. Is our relationship over? This is part of a complicated situation that I'm trying to understand. I apologize for my grammar, as English is not my first language. I'm 31 male and my wife is 30 female. We got married this summer after being together for 8 years. During our engagement, we rented our flat to a younger male roommate, 24 male, to save money for the wedding. At first, I didn't think much of it, but their friendship grew deeper over time. My wife is very emotional, while I struggle to open up to her because I don't feel fully accepted by her. Over time, this guy began opening up to her, and their relationship became a very deep and emotional. She confided in him about her struggles, and he provided her with the understanding and support, and vice versa. Subconsciously, I felt emotionally betrayed. I didn't realize my anger was growing, but eventually fights started becoming more frequent. I would get more upset more easily. Though I never resorted to anything beyond shouting, I felt alone, like I was planning the wedding by myself. I spent hours organizing and fixing things while she sat in the living room, chatting with this guy about life. Our arguments often revolved around wedding preparations. I admit my impatience with her was at its lowest, leading me to make many decisions on my own, though I always asked for her approval. Here, she felt a lot of her boundaries were broken. Okay. I think there we need more information. Fast forward to the wedding. It was amazing. We were both happy with how it turned out, and our guests were impressed and surprised by the event. However, right after the wedding, things started to fall apart. While I felt happy, my wife seemed distant and exhausted. We had a major fight, during which she told me she felt neglected and hurt during the wedding preparations. She said I crossed her boundaries and demanded time to forgive me. I apologized immediately and wanted to make things right, but the situation only got worse. She started spending hours talking to our roommate and completely ignoring me. I felt heartbroken. I cried almost every night and began experiencing panic attacks for the first time in my life. Eventually, I asked her if we could have the roommate move out. I sent him a polite message, but he was upset that I didn't discuss it face to face. My wife wasn't happy either, as she saw him as a source of comfort. Despite this, he moved out. We started couples therapy, where I was able to express my feelings of betrayal. Unfortunately, this didn't seem to help. She remained emotionally distant from me, although she maintained contact with the roommate after he left our house. This drove me into a spiral of doubt and insecurity. In my desperation, I looked through her Facebook messages, which I know was wrong. When she found out, she was furious. 3 months after the wedding, she told me she wanted to break up. She said I would never be a good father to her future children because of my behavior. I begged her to reconsider and suggested we take some time apart. Now, here we are. She moved out 3 months after the wedding, leaving me alone in the house we brought together. For 2 months, I gave her space and didn't contact her. After 8 weeks of no contact, I sent her a message explaining how I felt betrayed. We agreed to meet for coffee. During the meeting, she dropped a bombshell. She revealed that she has developed a fear of me. She said she can't be alone with me, let alone move back in. She's afraid I might harm her. This fear apparently began after she discovered I had looked through her Facebook messages. Major boundary was broken. During our conversation, I confessed that I'd been angry and hurt. When I mentioned that I have truly not let my anger go, and if I let my anger, she asked, "You would kill me?" I was horrified. "Kill you? Are you out of your mind?" I responded, disgusted. "No, I meant leave you." She has refused to meet me before April, 3 months from now. She insists on only meeting in public places and not being alone with me. I am utterly confused about how we got here. She says her trust is completely shattered, but during our last conversation, she was kind and admitted she still has feelings for me. However, she seemed hypervigilant the entire time. I have never been violent or threatened her with physical harm. I know I crossed boundaries by checking her social media, but being terrified of me, like I would physically harm her, feels like a massive overreaction. She also said that there is nothing romantically going on between her and her new friend. I feel like she emotionally cheated. She said she was in survival mode. Any suggestions? I'm so confused. And and I am going to read one comment, but he said he didn't feel that his emotional needs were being understood. Let's scroll back and see that. I don't feel fully accepted by her. Which implies that he has emotionally opened up to her before and then had that turned down. But... and it does sound like emotional cheating. Like, a lot of people don't know when they've emotionally cheated. Like, they don't want to admit it. But if she's very emotional and open... Okay, there was a comment I was going to read. Where did it go? Found the comment. And I think it phrases things better than I can, because I'm just sort of mentally stumbling over things. You isolated from her friends. I don't care what the nature of their friendship is. That's not the point. She lost her support. You acted openly disgusted with her to her face. Regardless of how it went down, you made all the wedding decisions. Asking for her final say isn't enough. She should have been involved the whole way. If she didn't want to be involved, you guys needed to get to the root of why that is before you made decisions. She thinks you might kill her. That belief doesn't come from nowhere. People don't just spontaneously decide that's something that could happen, especially from someone they care about. So many women stay with men who would kill them and just continue to ignore the behavior. If she's seeing signs that she can't ignore after 8 years and a wedding, my dude, you need to hold up a very uncomfortable mirror and examine your own behavior. So yeah, I think that says things better than I could. I also want to know, during the wedding planning, he said that there were more boundaries that were crossed, but then didn't elaborate on any of them. Definitely checking the social media can be a major boundary, especially if it's something you've never done before. Like, as a couple, you don't have that understanding that you can do that. But I need more information. Like, where do those other boundary stomping things come from? And also, how long has the roommate lived with them? I tried checking their page for more information, and all I saw was several reposts of the exact same... well, they had the exact same title that were all deleted. Some was for posting too frequently, and I don't know what the others were. So I think there's more to that story than OP really wants to tell us. But please, if you have a fear of your partner, and you have family to fall back on, friends to fall back on, women's shelters you can fall back on, if you think you're in danger, get out. If you have genuinely fallen out of love, please break up. Unless you, both sides of the partnership, are treating it like a business thing, then maybe you could work that out. And if you're relying on a roommate for all of your emotional needs, maybe examine why that is. And if your partner's doing it, examine why that is. Okay, I'm going to move on to the second story now. My mom, 55 female, won't accept that I'm cutting her off, 20 female. I made a post about my mom on here before, basically saying that she doesn't respect my boundaries and demands to FaceTime me whenever she wants throughout the day. She yells and screams and threatens to hurt herself whenever she's upset at me for not sending her pictures of me and my friends, or when she asks to see my outfit. Even then, I used to call her once a day because I promised I would. I am 20 years old and I moved out 2.5 years ago when you were 17 and have been living alone since. Last time she and I spoke on the phone, she was 2 weeks ago. She was cussing me out for an hour straight, threatening to hurt herself. She got my best friend's mom involved, and she blames me for my mom trying to hurt herself, and tells me that asking for space from her is wrong. Ooh, that is gaslighty. My mom herself said she doesn't want to speak to me after that, so we went 2 weeks without talking. Then, when she tried to contact me again 3 days ago, I was with my father, my parents are divorced, who knows about the issue and told me it would be best to stick to my boundaries and remind her. and to remind her that I do not want a relationship with her through a text, since she was calling and texting nonstop. I literally mean nonstop. She calls me 20 times in a row whenever I don't respond, and that's normal for her, even when we aren't fighting. Anyway, now my mom is telling me that I have no right to temporarily cut off our relationship, as I mentioned I would in the text. And even 3 days later, she's still calling and texting nonstop. I'm just so incredibly stressed out and I have run out of the patience to put up with her any longer. TLDR, my mom says I have no right to temporarily cut off our relationship, even after she was verbally abusing me over the phone regularly when she isn't happy with me. She keeps texting and calling nonstop. Oh dear, that's pretty entitled parent behavior. And of course, at least OP is already admitting that it is abusive behavior, and they've already temporarily cut off contact. That is better than a lot of people manage. Anyway, this story does have an update, and I will be keeping an eye out in case there's a third update. But for now, the first update. Update, my mom, 55 female, won't accept that I'm cutting her off, 20 female. I made a post a few days ago talking about how my mom says I have no right to temporarily cut off our relationship, even after she was verbally abused me over the phone regularly when she isn't happy with me. She kept texting and calling nonstop and threatened to hurt herself, called my university employer, telling me that I'm going to regret it. She blames me entirely for how she acts, even though I'm an adult and should not have to abide her constantly. And hey, at least the mom is texting all this stuff, so you have a paper trail already. Proof, so much proof. It's been a few days since my mom attempted to contact me. I mentioned being worried that she'd fly to where I live and suddenly turn up in front of my apartment, which, FYI, would take a 12-hour flight. Well, turns out she told my aunt that she's coming to my city next week, and she asked her not to tell me. Of course, my aunt, being closer with me than she is with my mom, told me immediately. My mom just has no idea that my aunt and I are close. My mom also called my best friend's mom, telling her that I refused to give her my address. This, of course, isn't true because I had no idea my mom was coming to my city. And my mom has never asked me as I haven't spoken to her in a few days. I kind of thought, oh yeah, there, because I also thought my mom had my address already because I'm pretty sure I shared it with her before. Like, do you not send Christmas gifts to her? Cards? I literally have no clue at all what my mom will be doing here, simply because there is nothing to do, and it seems like she's deliberately trying to hide that she's come into my city. Plus, I'm going to have school and work, so I can't see her even if I wanted to, which I absolutely do not want to. I have no idea what to expect. I'm sure things will be okay, I just need some support. TLDR, after telling my verbally abusive mother that I'm temporarily cutting off our relationship, she said I don't have the right to do so and booked a flight to my city behind my back, and will be arriving next week. I'm not supposed to know that she's coming, and I am sure of what she has planned. And I'm going to go onto the first not the first comment on the post, but the one I found to be the most comprehensive and says all the things that I would say. And it actually collates a lot of the other advice I was given. From Backseat Adventurer, the first step is damage control. Talk to your employer, your apartment doorman, admin, university security, etc. Tell them that you're hoping to avoid further trouble by notifying them that your mother may cause a scene or interfere with your private affairs. Make them aware that you no longer want her listed as your next of kin or in any way allowed to make decisions for you. If needed, add your aunt or someone else in the role. I'm assuming that she had her dad down for these things. Lock down your credit, make sure she can't access your bank account, add dual verification on all accounts and services, invest in some better locks and perhaps some cameras. Place your social media on private and or stop updating except for the bare bones. You know, I didn't consider some of that. Like, I assumed if the mother was going to already be using credit, she would have done it already, but maybe she just hadn't thought about it. You might also want to contact your local police station. A face-to-face is probably better, but you can try calling the non-emergency number. Explain the situation and ask them how they suggest you deal with it. Perhaps ask if there is an official way to make a record of what she's doing. Explain that you think she might waste police time and resources for a wellness check, or something similar and ask what to do about that. Also ask about what is needed for a restraining order. If you can afford a lawyer, then follow up to see what they have to say. Their advice is in your best interest, while the police have their own concerns that may be prioritized over yours. A lawyer may also help you set up official next of kin so your mother isn't involved in an emergency. Beyond that, there's little she can do. If she shows up, then tell her you don't want to see her and that she needs to leave. If she doesn't and tries to argue, simply inform her that you will call the police. Tell her you've got all the evidence of her bad behavior, and you'll show the cops if she doesn't leave. You could even point out that they've already been informed that she might try to harass you, then follow through if she doesn't go. If she's reputation conscious, that might make her leave you alone for a bit, even if she doesn't think you'll call the police. I also think you should spread this on social media, not just Reddit, like the Facebooks and stuff. Don't be dragged into arguments. Close the door in her face if you have to. Block her on your phone and all other media. Change your number if you have to. Leaving her access to any venue of communication is feeding the beast. She will keep going unless you make a stand because she thinks bullying you is enough. If she bullies you enough, you will capitulate. Prove that this will no longer work. And I agree with all of that. So as I said, Backseat Adventurer said that all much better than I could have. I would also add, give a photo of your mom to the doorman and the university security and your employer. That way, just in case somehow she has a friend willing to come with her on this trip, and say, I want to see this person. And like, oh, this is a person we were told verbally not to let in. And then your mom is like, I'm sneaky. I haven't told them who I am. I'm going to pretend to be my friend. I don't think someone's going to be that sneaky, but you never know. They could be. Does that make me too sneaky that I thought of that? I don't know. Anyway, thank you to the both OPs for sharing their stories today. I think I will try to keep an eye on both of them. I hope definitely that, what did I just click? Nothing that shows up on screen. Okay. Anyway, I hope Coral Crescent especially is safe and that her mother wanting to make her pay for things. I had horrible thought. I don't want to, like, her mom has threatened to harm herself and blame the daughter if she does, right? So then what if the mom is like, I'm going to go to where you live, hurt myself there, so you'll be extra hurt by what I'm doing. Or this will damage your relationship with the people around you. Ugh. Anyway, thank you, Coral Crescent, for sharing your story. I hope things go well with you. I hope she doesn't actually show up, or just like goes to your city, is bored, and goes home. But I think we've seen enough Reddit stories to know. No, I'll keep hoping, right? I am going to be a positive Clover. I'm going to keep hoping. Anyway, thank you for listening. This is where I'm going to call things for today. How did you think, what did you think of our first story for the new year? This is the first time I think that I've tipped my toes into r/relationships. Am I the a-hole poster? Easier for me mentally. Because then I can go, yes, you are the a-hole. No, you weren't the a-hole. And this is why. Relationships, straight up without the, am I wrong about this? It just feels more convoluted. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye!